Welcome back, Spirits of Vengeance, to a Ghost Rider vlog.
Welcome back everyone to the Ghost Rider vlog. This week we're going to be talking about issue number 79 very briefly, subtitled Shades of Grey. We start this issue with Johnny Blaze and the Great Vincenzo returning to the Quentin Carnival, only to see some unusual things going on, in particular a new tent that came out of nowhere, but also with a warning. With their dealings with Ronaldo last issue, Johnny was later informed between this comic and the last that the Freakmaster was actually coming for the carnival and was going to take over things. He quickly charges in to talk to Quentin. However, Quentin very briefly informs him that it's too late just before the two freaks and the Freakmaster himself appears. Freakmaster is an unusual man. He looks a lot like a smaller Paul Williams, and seems to be a slightly charismatic man. Nice blue suit, ruffles, and so forth. However, when confronted with some of the things that he is supposedly to blame for, he quickly admonishes them to some of his workers, both Steelwind and Ronaldo, acting beyond the limits that they were supposed to have been given, and finds no liking for the handiwork that they have released, and continues to constantly apologize for them, while also relaying his story of his past. Apparently both his parents were freaks, and while they worked hard and under very harsh and bitter conditions, they did what they could to try and make ends meet, and try and give themselves a life that they could survive on, having then given birth to Freakmaster. Freakmaster, however, as a child, witnessed how hard life was for them, to the point that this hard life actually killed his father, and the heartbreak eventually killed his mother some months later. Freakmaster then decided that what he would do is actually start up a chain of freak shows, treating all the freaks like normal human beings, like he would want them to be treated. And after many years of successful freak shows, one after another, and each of them getting bigger, he saved up the money to buy his own island and set up a haven for himself and other freaks who he deemed would be unpleased with how humanity would otherwise treat them, and find a safe haven for them all to live. Also giving what has happened to Vincenzo, which includes a massive mutation of his head and the near freak change mutation that was given to Johnny. He told Johnny that Ronaldo would find out very quickly that night that he is no longer to be hired for any more further work, as we see quiet images of him being attacked by a freak and possibly killed, if not something else being done to him. Johnny is also, by the way, not completely caught up in the Freakmaster, as he realizes there's probably a level of something going on that he is not disposing to them. And after a few warnings about the freak tent from Vincenzo, who is still psychically inclined, but trying to work through his powers, and having some ill feelings and thoughts of his own, he finally decides to investigate. While at the same time that night, a blonde woman enters into a hotel room. This is the same blonde woman we have seen for the last couple issues, apparently trying to trail after the carnival for some reason. As the night progresses, Vincenzo gets another warning from Ronaldo, telling him that what has befallen him would soon befall Johnny and the others. Johnny finally decides to steal away into the freak tent and manages to get into the back room, wherein he finds a huge amount of machines and the freakish plans that the Freakmaster actually had in mind for them, including but not limited to turning Red into a fish man, turning Cynthia into some sort of woman freak with only a head and a foot for her body, and possibly turning the old psychic woman into a Cyclops who's probably still bound to her wheelchair. The Freakmaster, however, has been waiting for this moment and wanted Johnny here to unleash some special freaks. And he releases 4 men combined with motorcycles, much the way that they were planning to do to him from Ronaldo's plans. However, these are faster and heavier bikes than what they were going to give Johnny in his freak form, and he is quickly forced to dodge them. The Freakmaster obviously underestimating how quickly the Ghost Rider could take over, especially in a moment of panic, much like this. Johnny quickly changes into the Rider, sets forth beating them about. However, he is pierced with adamantium poles to a lab table, but as they close in, he actually manages to rip the lab table out of the floor and use it as a battering ram to finally finish off the bikers. To this, Quentin has been watching everything and admits to the Ghost Rider his own sins, the fact that he was the carnival runner who killed the Freakmaster's parents. The Ghost Rider finally stands still, unsure what to do, giving the last final moments they could for a huge opening to Johnny. Johnny takes over to then point out to the Freakmaster in particular, that you are to leave now under no uncertain circumstances, and that if you continue to be a problem, as he has revealed himself to be, that the next time the Ghost Rider comes forth, he will not stop it from attacking the Freakmaster this time. In the morning, the freaks all pack up and head away as promised. And while people continue to question Quentin about it, Quentin just has no answers and wishes to be left alone, especially after giving a shady look to Johnny, to which questions would have been quickly asked of him if it wasn't for the fact that a blonde woman with a very familiar voice asked if he was Johnny, to which Johnny turns about to see Roxanne Simpson for the first time in about a year in real time in the comics, and thus ends our story. So a very interesting setup, and already the end of the issue promises that the next issue is the beginning of the end. So I will see you all in the next issue, as we are obviously about ready to delve into the final issues of Ghost Rider. And I'll see you all next time.